Mastering Influence, the Science of Psychological Persuasion. Introduction. Welcome to the arena. Picture this. Every interaction you engage in could shift circumstances to your advantage. Imagine possessing the ability to guide, convince, and motivate others without resorting to coercion, pleading, or deception. This comprehensive guide serves as your roadmap to understanding the hidden dynamics that govern human conduct. You'll discover techniques to understand thoughts without telepathy, motivate people without exploitation, and transform subtle persuasion into irresistible authority. This extends beyond merely altering your communication style. It's about transforming your entire mindset. Persuasion isn't an innate gift. It's a learnable craft, and your education starts immediately. Why persuasion matters in our modern era? Let's be honest. Natural ability alone won't cut it anymore. Diligent effort is crucial, but insufficient. We exist in an environment saturated with stimuli. Every brand, voice, and concept battles for recognition. Without the power to persuade, you become invisible. Without persuasive abilities, you'll witness less capable, less experienced individuals surpass you simply because they understood. Positioning strategies. Whether you're a content creator, business owner, executive, student, worker, or someone seeking to enhance relationships, persuasion operates as the hidden catalyst that unlocks opportunities. It secures agreements, establishes credibility, creates movements, and transforms existence. The greatest advantage? You don't need to be naturally gifted. Persuasion is a learnable skill. Persuasion versus exploitation. Understanding the distinction. Many individuals hear persuasion and immediately associate it with manipulation, deception, or domination. However, there's a significant distinction. Exploitation represents persuasion devoid of compassion. It's selfish, dishonest, and focused on taking. Persuasion, conversely, centers on connection. It involves comprehending human nature and utilizing that understanding to inspire, lead, and establish mutually beneficial outcomes. One stems from fear, the other from trust. Throughout this guide, we'll ensure you remain on the ethical side of that boundary, because genuine authority comes from respect, not coercion. Chapter 1. The Science of Persuasion. How our minds make choices. Here's something remarkable. Most of your choices aren't made rationally. While we prefer to believe, we're logical beings who evaluate facts, examine data, and select the optimal path. Neuroscience reveals a different reality. The vast majority of decisions occur unconsciously in fractions of seconds, driven not by reasoning but by instinct, emotion, and intuition. The brain continuously evaluates the environment, asking, is this secure? Does this serve my interests? What do others believe? Have I encountered this before? This process happens before your conscious mind realizes a decision exists. The logical brain, the neocortex, operates slowly, like a courtroom judge. But before that judge examines the case, the emotional brain, the limbic system, has already rendered a verdict. Simply put, people feel first, then rationalize afterward. The influence of emotions, prejudices, and viewpoints. Emotions aren't logic's adversary, they're its gatekeepers. When someone makes a choice, whether purchasing a product, following a leader, or selecting a partner, they're essentially asking, how does this affect me emotionally? Do I feel secure, acknowledged, excited, included? Persuasion occurs primarily at the emotional level. Even in business environments where numbers and logic appear paramount, studies demonstrate that most purchasing decisions stem from emotions and are subsequently justified with logic. This explains why marketers employ narratives, politicians use catchphrases and symbols, and charismatic leaders connect with hearts before engaging minds. The brain isn't merely a calculating machine, it's an emotional processor that occasionally thinks. Cognitive shortcuts. Anchoring, reciprocity, social validation. Your brain is powerful but also takes shortcuts called biases. These help us survive, conserve energy, and make rapid decisions. But they also make us predictably irrational. Anchoring bias. Imagine entering a store and seeing a shirt priced at $300. You reject it and walk away. Then you notice another shirt on sale for $79. Suddenly, $79 seems reasonable, right? That's anchoring. The first number sets the reference point, and every subsequent number is compared against it. Reciprocity. When someone provides you with something, you feel obligated to return the favor. This principle is hardwired into our social brains. Ever received a free sample and felt guilty leaving without purchasing? That's reciprocity in action. Social validation. Humans are tribal creatures. We observe others when uncertain. This is social validation, the concept that if many people engage in something, it must be correct. That's why testimonials work, reviews outperform advertisements, and people wait in lengthy lines for restaurants. Persuasion. Catalysts built into our brains. Let's discuss the fundamental persuasion triggers, those primal mechanisms in the brain that, when activated, make people agree without understanding why. Attention. You cannot persuade anyone without first capturing their focus. Emotion. Make people feel through stories, vulnerability, surprise, and passion. Relevance. Speak their language. Demonstrate personal benefits. Trust. Build it through consistency, authenticity, and shared values. Urgency. Provide reasons for immediate action. Identity. Help people envision themselves in your message. When you combine these elements, persuasion becomes nearly effortless. Chapter 2. The impact of initial impressions. The science of instant judgments. You're constantly being evaluated, not maliciously, but biologically. The human brain continuously scans for signals. Is this person safe, powerful, worth listening to? This process occurs within milliseconds. Some research suggests people form their first impression of you in 1/10 of a second, before you state your name, share your story, or present your credentials. Even more significantly, once that impression forms, people unconsciously seek evidence to confirm it. Intentional presentation, appearance, voice, and behavior, your appearance. Whether we like it or not, appearance matters. You don't need designer clothing or celebrity looks, but you do need to appear intentional. Your style should match the context, you should be well-groomed, and you should look like someone who values their presentation. Your voice. Your voice is one of your most powerful persuasion tools. Is it shaky or steady, fast or slow, flat or expressive? Confidence isn't loud, confidence is controlled. It's clarity, calmness, and a certain weight in your tone that says, I mean this. Your body language. You're communicating even when silent. Research shows over 70% of communication is nonverbal. Stand tall, make warm eye contact, use open gestures, don't fidget, and smile genuinely. Mirror neurons and emotional transmission. Humans are programmed to reflect others' emotions through mirror neurons, specialized brain cells that fire both when you act and when you observe someone else acting. That's why yawns spread, laughter fills rooms, and your energy influences others even in silence. If you enter a room feeling anxious, that anxiety transfers. If you enter with certainty, calmness, and focus, others begin matching your energy. This is emotional contagion, and skilled persuaders use it strategically. The halo effect and its application. The halo effect is a bias where people assume that excellence in one area indicates excellence in others. If someone thinks you're attractive, they're more likely to assume you're intelligent. If you sound confident, they assume you're competent. This happens constantly in job interviews, social situations, and dating. The halo effect means your first impression influences everything that follows. Master those first 30 seconds and people will unconsciously give you the benefit of the doubt. Chapter 3. Leadership Communication, Persuasive Communication. Approaches. Leaders don't just communicate for understanding, they communicate to influence behavior, mindset, and emotion. Persuasive communicators distinguish themselves by speaking with clarity, They cut through noise with simple, clean, sharp messages. Speaking with confidence, not arrogance, but certainty. Speaking with purpose. They ask themselves, what do I want this person to feel? What do I want them to do? The impact of words, tone, and pauses. Your message has 3 dimensions. Words choose precisely. Some words energize, others drain. Leaders use words like imagine, discover, transform, because they invite collaboration and spark curiosity. Tone. How you say something matters more than what you say. Your tone conveys emotion, and emotion drives decisions. Want to inspire? Use upward, energetic tones. Want to build trust? Use calm certainty. Pauses. Strategic pauses let messages sink in, hold attention, and create drama. Use pauses like a conductor uses silence. It's not emptiness, it's power. NLP fundamentals and linguistic framing. Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, studies how language patterns influence the subconscious brain and behavior. Key tools include framing and reframing. How you frame a message determines response. This will be difficult versus this will be challenging, but a chance to grow stronger. Embedded commands, subtle directions hidden within ordinary sentences. As you listen to this, you might start to realize how powerful your words truly are. Storytelling as persuasion logic convinces the mind. Stories win the heart. We're wired for stories. Great leaders are great storytellers. They don't just share information, they wrap it in narrative. Most effective stories follow this framework. Setup. Relatable character in familiar world. Struggle. Challenge they must overcome. Solution. How they overcame it. Lesson. What we can all learn. Speaking to the subconscious. Most decisions are made subconsciously, then justified rationally. The subconscious responds to emotion, visual imagery, rhythm, repetition, authority, and certainty. Speak to the subconscious by using metaphors. This moment is a doorway. You just have to walk through it. Using sensory language. Imagine the weight of self-doubt lifting from your shoulders. Using emotional contrast. You can stay where it's safe or step into the power you've always had. Chapter 4. Magnetic Confidence. The reality of genuine confidence. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's not loud, showy, or dominating. True confidence is silent, calm, and magnetic. It doesn't beg for attention, it attracts it. It doesn't fake certainty, it radiates it. Real confidence isn't pretending you're great, it's knowing you can handle whatever happens. Think about people you admire who walk into rooms and instantly shift the atmosphere. They're not the loudest, they're grounded, present, and certain. The psychology of presence and composure. Confidence isn't just about actions, it's about how you show up. The most powerful presence comes from being fully present, not trying to impress. People with presence are not distracted by others' perceptions, relaxed yet alert, making eye contact to connect, not dominate, listening as much as speaking, not rushing, they own their time. This is self-possession, calm, centered awareness of yourself and your surroundings. Body language that commands respect. Confident body language includes posture, upright, not stiff. Stand tall, not rigid. Imagine a string pulling the top of your head upward. Eye contact. Steady, not staring. Hold someone's gaze for 3 to 5 seconds, then naturally glance away. Gestures. Open and purposeful. Use hands to emphasize, not overwhelm. Avoid crossing arms or hiding hands. Why confident people influence. Effortlessly, confidence is contagious. When you believe in your message, people believe in you. When you trust yourself, people feel safe trusting you. The brain is wired for certainty. In uncertain situations, we instinctively look to those who seem most calm and sure. Confidence signals stability. Stability builds trust, and trust leads to influence. Training your mind to believe in your self-confidence is a mental habit created through small, consistent wins. 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep promises to yourself. Every kept promise tells your brain, I can trust myself. Speak to yourself kindly. Practice internal encouragement instead of criticism. Normalize discomfort. Step into fear to teach your brain, I can handle this. Visualize success. See yourself winning to make your brain believe it's possible. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge progress to reinforce confidence. Quick mindset upgrades transform your internal dialogue. From, what if I fail? To, what if I grow? From, they're better than me to, they're further along. I'm on my way. From, I hope they like me, to, let me see if we align. From, I don't know enough to, I'm learning and bring value. Conclusion persuasion isn't magic. It's a map. Every decision follows a predictable pattern. Once you understand that pattern, you can guide people along it. You're not here to trick people. You're where to lead, inspire, and guide. Remember, you have two choices in life. Be a pawn moved around by others, or be a player who masters the game. Every principle in this guide is a step toward becoming that player, that leader, that version of yourself who walks into rooms and shifts energy without saying a word. Your journey to mastering influence begins now. Use these tools to lift others up, not tear them down. Guide, don't control. Connect, don't confuse. In the game of influence, your voice is your instrument. Learn to play it with precision, and people will follow. Chapter 5. Reciprocity and the Law of Leading with Generosity. The Hidden Force of Contribution. Let's begin with a fundamental principle. Individuals recall those who contribute, not merely tangible presence, not ostentatious assistance, but dedication, labor, vitality, wisdom, compassion. In this section, we're examining a principle so timeless, so fundamentally embedded in our mental framework, that it controls how we react to companions, outsiders, and even adversaries. That principle is reciprocity, the law of leading with generosity. Here's what we'll examine. Why contributing unlocks authority and confidence. How minor acts establish strong social connections. The distinction between calculated kindness and exploitation. Methods to generate genuine worth in connections. Actual examples from commerce, professional networking, and romance, because authority isn't simply about being convincing, it's about being worthwhile. When you contribute initially without maintaining records, you become someone individuals desire to follow, assist, and champion. So, let's explore this concept. Why contributing leads to authority. Reciprocity stands as one of the most ancient and widespread social drives. Researchers have discovered it in every human society, from primitive communities to contemporary metropolises. Why? Because existence relied on it. I assist you in hunting today, you assist me in foraging tomorrow. It's how confidence developed, how societies flourished, and how standings were established. Fast forward to the present day, and the identical principle remains valid, just with different instruments. You provide a co-worker wisdom, they're more inclined to back your initiative. You deliver a meaningful praise, individuals warm to you immediately. You assist someone in gaining gentry, they recall you, sometimes permanently. Psychologist Dr. Robert Cialdini, in his renowned work, Influence, identifies reciprocity as one of the 6 foundations of persuasion. His studies demonstrate that individuals feel obligated to return kindness, even when it's unsolicited. And this isn't exploitation, it's psychology. We are programmed to return worth to those who provide it freely, and those who contribute initially often gain the most authority. Minor acts, major impact. You don't require magnificent gestures to be influential. In reality, the most powerful acts of contribution are frequently small, genuine, and individual. Let's examine some daily examples. The praise that creates opportunities. You're in a conference. Someone presents an idea. You say, "That was an astute observation. I hadn't considered it from that angle." What occurs? You establish rapport. You make them feel acknowledged. You subtly enhance your authority. One honest compliment can reduce resistance, expand someone's perspective, or even initiate a friendship. The useful advice that gains respect picture, a colleague struggling with a software application. You notice and say, "Here's a technique that might save you effort." You've just formed a connection. You didn't request anything, you simply contributed. And now they're more inclined to assist you, hear you out, or speak favorably about you later. The considerate message that develops confidence. A brief note. "Hey, thinking of you. Hope everything's going well." No hidden agenda, no request, just a human moment. In a world where everyone's overwhelmed, that type of gesture resonates deeply. These moments of kindness aren't loud, but they reverberate. Calculated kindness versus exploitation. Let's clarify something crucial. Contributing to manipulate isn't contributing. It's disguised control. Individuals can sense the distinction between a sincere over and a trap. So how do you navigate between calculated kindness and exploitation? Calculated kindness means contributing with awareness and purpose, selecting moments and methods that create impact, understanding what others appreciate and providing it, contributing without demanding, expecting, or maintaining records. Exploitation means contributing with conditions attached, using kindness as leverage, maintaining records to collect on favors later, feigning sincerity for personal benefit. The crucial distinction is your motivation. Calculated kindness says, "I contribute because I can and because it strengthens relationships." Exploitation says, "I contribute so I can receive." Only one creates genuine authority. The other generates resentment, generating worth in relationships. Here's where authority becomes thrilling, because you can design your presence to be valuable in any setting, relationship, or interaction. Think of yourself as a worth generator. Ask yourself, what does this individual need currently, and how can I provide it? Not in a way that exhausts you, but in a way that enriches both of you. Here are 5 currencies of authority you can begin contributing today. Focus in a distracted world. Complete attention is precious. Listen with your eyes. Ask meaningful questions. Resist the impulse to check your device. Being present is a gift most individuals never receive. Motivation. Some individuals are one supportive word away from a breakthrough. You're performing excellently. I see capability in you. Don't surrender now. Motivation builds emotional investment, and individuals recall how you made them feel. Knowledge. If you understand something that could assist someone, share it. A resource, a method, a shortcut, a caution. Useful information freely shared establishes credibility quickly. Networks introduce individuals, make them feel welcomed, and create opportunities. When you say, "You should meet so-and-so," you generate worth that extends beyond yourself. Moments, contributing even 10 minutes to someone without hurrying, without distraction, makes them feel significant. Time is your most precious resource. When you contribute it, individuals notice. Real examples. How contributing creates authority. Let's make this concrete with some practical stories. In commerce, the consultant who contributed first, a freelance marketing consultant, desired to work with a prominent brand. Instead of cold outreach, she analyzed their current campaign and sent them a complimentary video assessment with recommendations. No request, no bill, just worth. They were so impressed, they contacted her the following day and scheduled a complete campaign. Why? She contributed first. She demonstrated worth without requesting anything. In professional networking, the connector one individual made it his purpose to introduce 2 people weekly who could benefit each other. He became recognized in his field as the super connector. Soon individuals started approaching him with opportunities, partnerships, and agreements, not because he requested, but because he contributed. In romance, the listener. A woman went on a date and simply asked deep, curious questions and genuinely listened. She didn't attempt to impress. She just provided the other person space to feel seen. The person later said, "I felt more connected in one evening than I have in years." All she contributed was presence, and it transformed everything. The law of leading with generosity, a life approach. Here's what distinguishes average influencers from memorable ones. They don't wait to be requested. They don't contribute to impress. They contribute because it's their nature. That's the energy that establishes confidence. That's the mindset that creates magnetic authority. Because when you contribute first, two things occur. 2. You stand out because so few individuals do it. You rise because worth always flows toward those who create it. Action steps. Practice the law of leading with generosity. Here's your challenge today. Contribute before you request. Send a compliment. Offer advice. Make an introduction. Share a resource. Motivate someone silently struggling. Do it with no conditions and observe what happens. Mindset transformations for calculated contribution. Transform from, what can I extract from this, to, what can I contribute to this? How can I get them to favor me? To, how can I add worth to their day? Networking is uncomfortable, to contributing is natural. These are the transformations that make you powerful and memorable. Final thoughts. The authority of a contributor. You don't need wealth to contribute. You don't need a prestigious position to offer worth. You don't need attention to illuminate others. The law of leading with generosity is a lifelong advantage because when you lead with kindness, you don't just establish authority. You build a reputation that speaks more powerfully than words. In the next section, we'll explore the foundation of every powerful relationship. Confidence. Because without confidence, authority fails. But with it, there are no boundaries. Chapter 6. Social validation and group psychology. The strength of collective behavior. Let me pose a question. Have you ever entered a restaurant, observed it was entirely vacant, and chosen to dine elsewhere? Or perhaps you witnessed two street artists performing, one surrounded by a large audience, the other standing alone, and without deliberation, you gravitated toward the crowded performer? You didn't strategize or contemplate, you simply followed the collective lead. This exemplifies social validation and group psychology at work. In this section, you'll uncover why individuals instinctively mirror collective behavior, how expertise, testimonials, and popularity influence perception, methods to establish social validation from the ground up, techniques for leveraging group dynamics to sway others, strategies to become the respected authority in your network. If persuasion is the competition, then social validation serves as your ultimate advantage. Let's explore its power. Why individuals mirror others. Humans are inherently social beings. Long before digital connectivity and social platforms, our survival depended on group cohesion. When the tribe fled from rustling bushes, you followed suit. Hesitation could prove fatal. While our modern lives are more secure, this instinct persists. We mirror what others do, select and endorse. It conserves mental energy, minimizes risk, and provides security. If countless others appreciate something, it must have merit. If everyone else engages in it, perhaps it should participate too. Psychologists term this informational social influence, the concept that we rely on group behavior, particularly during uncertainty. This explains why bestseller rankings matter, why products display 5-star ratings, and why testimonials carry more weight than statistics. Here's the reality. People resist being the pioneer to embrace something, but they eagerly become the 10th, 100th, or 1,000th supporter. The power of authority, testimonials, and crowds. Let's examine the 3 most potent forms of social validation you can employ. Authority endorsements. We naturally trust individuals in positions of power or expertise. When a physician recommends a supplement, we purchase it. When a celebrity endorses a brand, it becomes trendy. When a professor references a study, we accept the findings. Authority provides permission to believe. You can leverage authority even if you're not yet the expert. Quote, collaborate with or gain features from established authorities. Testimonials and reviews. What others say about you carries greater impact than your self-promotion. A glowing review builds credibility. A satisfied client's story convinces better than polished marketing, and a friend's recommendation surpasses any advertisement. People seek proof, not promises. Testimonials provide evidence of value. You don't need hundreds. Just a few genuine, specific stories can transform perceptions. The crowd effect. When people observe others engaged, they assume value exists. A long coffee shop line suggests quality, a social post with thousands of likes appears worth reading, and a YouTuber with substantial followers seems credible. This phenomenon is called the bandwagon effect, and it drives group psychology. Remember, people follow those who are already being followed. Building social validation from scratch, you might wonder, this sounds excellent, but what if I'm new? What if I lack testimonials, followers, or significant achievements? Perfect, because now we discuss creating social validation from nothing. Here's how. Start small, then showcase. You don't need massive numbers, just visible proof. Help one person and share their success story. Gain your first client and feature their feedback. Write one excellent article and highlight key insights. Document the journey, not just the destination. Make your victories, however small, public, and persuasive. Utilize borrowed credibility. Not everyone has built authority, but everyone can borrow it. Collaborate with someone more established. Get featured on a specialized podcast or blog. Volunteer your skills to a respected brand or project. Their platform adds weight to your reputation. It's not deceptive. It's intelligent positioning. Create the appearance of momentum. You can manufacture momentum ethically. Show progress. 5 new clients this month. Use numbers. Over 200 hours of coaching experience. Highlight engagement. Most downloaded episode yet. People follow what feels like it's already moving, so demonstrate movement. Request testimonials. Now, even if you've only helped a few people, ask them, would you be willing to share what changed for you after we worked together? Frame it as helping others because it does. Then, display that feedback proudly. Be worthy of action. Social validation thrives in visible spaces. Speak up in online communities. Answer questions in groups. Post helpful content publicly. Show your face and be human. Invisibility destroys influence. Visibility builds it. Leveraging group dynamics. When you understand group behavior, you can influence more effectively. Here's how to use group psychology to your advantage. Create a mini movement. Position your idea, service, or message as something people can join. Use language like join, be part of, together. Create a group name, mission, or identity. Highlight others who are already participating. People love belonging to a tribe. Give them one, and they'll follow proudly. Showcase what others are doing. People take action when they see others doing the same. Testimonials. Here's what Sarah said after working with me. Screenshots. Just helped someone hit their first 1K online. Case studies. This is how we got 50% more leads in 3 weeks. Don't just say you can help. Show who you've already helped. Highlight shared identity. If you're influencing a group, demonstrate that you understand them. Use phrases like, if you're like me, you've probably, or, as creatives, business owners, students, we all want to. This creates unity. People are more likely to listen to someone who speaks like them, thinks like them, and represents them. Becoming the go-to in your circle. Influence starts locally. You don't need fame. You need trust, respect, and memorability in your world. Here's how to become the go-to person. Be visible and valuable. Share your knowledge, speak with confidence, and show results. Over time, people begin saying, if you need X, talk to your name. That's authority, and it comes from visibility plus value. Build your own micro-platform. Start a newsletter, podcast, YouTube channel, or community. Even if it's small, when you create a platform, people see you as a leader, not just a participant. You don't need thousands, you just need to start. Celebrate others publicly. One of the fastest ways to rise is to lift others up. Tag people, highlight their wins, share their stories, thank them openly. Generosity increases visibility and goodwill. People love the one who gives the spotlight, not just takes it. Mindset shift. From seeker to source, stop waiting to be discovered. Become the source of value, ideas, and movement. Because once people start looking to you, asking for your input and trusting your voice, you're not just part of the crowd, you're leading it. Final thoughts. The crowd is watching. Remember this. People want to do what others are doing. People trust what others are trusting. People follow what feels popular, safe, and validated. Social validation isn't cheating, it's human nature. Once you learn to build it with honesty and intent, you'll be influenced not by chasing people, but by attracting them. In the next chapter, we'll discuss another superpower, trust. Because social validation gets you noticed, but trust keeps you followed. Chapter 7. The subtle art of reframing. Change the frame, change the game. There's a concept in psychology. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. But I'll go further. It's not what happens, it's how it's presented. In this chapter, you'll discover a mind-altering truth. Reality is negotiable. Not because we deceive or manipulate, but because how we present information changes how people feel about it. That's the power of reframing. Why perception is everything. Two people can observe the same situation and reach completely different conclusions. One sees opportunity, the other sees threat. One sees value, the other sees cost. Same facts, different frame. Whichever frame you present becomes the reality your audience accepts. Let that resonate, because once you understand this, you can influence anyone ethically, powerfully, and consistently. The psychology of reframing. Reframing works because the brain is efficient but lazy. It uses shortcuts to make decisions. We don't process all data. We grasp onto the first meaningful frame that makes sense. Example, you enter a store and see a sign reading, "Now 50% of." You feel like you're saving money. But what if the item was overpriced initially? It doesn't matter, because the discount frame triggers action. Or consider this. 90% fat-free sounds healthy. Contains 10% fat sounds unhealthy. Same numbers, different emotional impact. That's the power of reframing. Anchoring. The first number. Always wins. Anchoring is one of the most powerful forms of reframing. It means the first piece of information someone sees becomes their reference point for everything else. Let's say you're selling a course. If you say, "It's just $99, that sounds affordable. But if you first say, "Most similar courses are $499, mine is only $99, suddenly $99 feels like a bargain. Why? Because of the anchor. In negotiations, the first number thrown out often sets the stage. If you want a $60K salary, ask for $75K. If you want $1,000 for your service, show $2,000 worth of value first. Whoever anchors first shapes the conversation. Don't be afraid to set the frame early. Contrast framing. The brain loves comparisons. Contrast is another brain shortcut. We decide value by comparing, rarely in isolation. Example, you walk into a store. There's a $1,000 suit next to a $250 one. You buy the $250 suit thinking you got a deal. But what if you'd only seen the $250 suit by itself? It might have felt expensive. The expensive item made the other one feel reasonable. That's contrast framing in action. Use this in persuasion. Compare your over to something more costly or less valuable. Contrast current pain with the ease of your solution. Show what they lose without your idea versus what they gain with it. People don't evaluate ideas logically. They evaluate relatively. Scarcity. Framing. Influence through urgency. Scarcity taps into a primal fear of loss. When something feels scarce, we assign it more value. Only 3 seats left. Offer expires in 24 hours. Limited to 100 members. You're not lying. You're framing truth in a way that moves people to act. People are more influenced by the fear of missing out than the promise of gain. That's why good influencers don't just inform. They frame decisions as urgent, rare, or time-sensitive. But do it with integrity. Scarcity works when it's real. Fake urgency backfires and breaks trust. Reframing. Turning weaknesses into strengths. Great influencers don't hide their weaknesses. They reframe them. Let's say you're new in your field. Instead of saying, "I don't have much experience," you say, "Unlike others set in their ways, I bring a fresh, innovative perspective." Or, "I may be new, but that means I'm deeply invested in each client. I'm not just running a volume business." Same fact, different story, different emotional impact. Think about politicians or product marketers. A flaw becomes a feature. A gap becomes a strength. A challenge becomes a sign of authenticity. Here's how to reframe a weakness. 2. 3. Own it. Be honest. Flip it. Turn it into an asset. Tie it to a benefit. Show how it helps the other person. This builds trust and influence. Political advertising and negotiation examples. Let's look at real-world framing in action. Politics, a candidate might say, "We need to raise taxes." That sounds painful. But if they say, "We need to invest in our future," it feels hopeful. Same policy, different frame. Or cutting healthcare versus reducing government waste. Gun control versus common sense gun safety. Words shape perception, and perception shapes public opinion. Advertising luxury brands don't sell products. They sell status. Apple doesn't say, "Buy our phone." They say, "Think different." They're framing their brand as elite, forward-thinking, and bold. Old Spice didn't just sell deodorant. They reframed the product with humor, masculinity, and bold personality. Framing is branding, and great brands control the frame. Negotiation. Let's say you're in a salary negotiation. You don't say, "I need more money." You say, "Given the value I'm creating and the results I've delivered, I believe a revised package reflects the next level of contribution I can offer." That's framing. Or you're pitching a high price. Instead of, "It's expensive but worth it," say, "It's an investment that saves you X hours, Y dollars, and Z headaches." Frame the outcome, not the cost. Practical ways to use framing today. Let's make this real. Here's how you can apply framing immediately. 1. Frame every offer as a benefit, not a feature. Instead of saying, "I coach people one-on-one," say, "I help people overcome self-doubt and create breakthrough results through direct, tailored support." Sell results, not details. 2. Anchor high, then offer value. If you're pitching, start by anchoring a higher value. Most people pay $1,000 for this kind of program. I've made it available for $299. Now $299 feels like a deal, not a cost. 3. Reframe every objection. When someone says, "I don't have time," reframe it. "That's exactly why this is perfect for you, because it saves time." Or, "That shows you're busy, and that's exactly who this is designed for, high performers with no time to waste." 4. Use because. Studies show that adding a reason to a request increases compliance, even if the reason is weak. I'd love for you to join because this can directly help your insert benefit. Reason plus reassurance, sure action. Final thoughts. Frame like a master. To master influence, you must master framing. Because the person who controls the frame controls the meaning, and the person who controls the meaning controls the decision. Let's recap. People act based on how things feel. You shape those feelings through framing. Anchor high, contrast with alternatives, show scarcity. Reframe objections, turn flaws into value. Always lead with clarity, confidence, and ethical persuasion. The next time you speak, pitch, post, or propose, ask yourself, "Am I framing this in a way that leads to a yes?" If the answer is yes, you're not just playing the game, you're mastering it. Chapter 8. Influence through empathy. Win hearts before minds. Let me share a secret about all the strategies you've learned so far. Influence through confidence, language, and framing. There's one ingredient that, without it, makes everything else fall flat. It's not IQ. It's not charisma. It's not power. It's empathy. In a world overloaded with noise, fast talkers, and shallow promises, empathy is your edge, because people don't follow those who speak the loudest. They follow those who make them feel seen, heard, and understood. Emotional intelligence is a superpower. Let's be clear. Empathy is not a weakness. Empathy is not soft. Empathy is power. It's the beating heart of emotional intelligence, the skill to recognize emotions in yourself and others and to respond effectively. Research shows that leaders with high emotional intelligence outperform others consistently. They build stronger teams, close more deals, create loyal followers. Why? Because they connect not just logically but emotionally. They don't guess what people want. They feel it, and then they respond in ways that earn trust, respect, and influence. That's emotional intelligence in motion. That's empathy applied, reading people deeply and responding authentically. Every person is broadcasting signals, in their tone, their posture, their eyes, in their silence, their hesitations, their energy. Most people miss these cues, but not you, because you're learning to read beneath the words. Let's talk about how to do that. 1. Observe the nonverbal. When someone walks into a room, don't just hear their words. Watch how they carry themselves, how much eye contact they make, and how their tone changes when certain topics arise. Their body speaks long before their mouth does. 2. Listen. Between the lines, someone might say, "I'm fine," but their shoulders are slumped. Their tone is flat and they avoid eye contact. That's your cue. Something's of. The emotionally intelligent influencer doesn't ignore that. They ask gently, "You sure you're okay? You don't seem like yourself." That question alone builds trust. Why? Because most people never hear it. Validation, listening, and mirroring. Influence isn't about impressing. It's about making others feel important. That starts with validation. 1. Validation. Validation doesn't mean agreeing with everything someone says. It means acknowledging their perspective. Example: "That must have been really frustrating. I can see why you'd feel that way. Sounds like that was a big deal for you." You're not solving their problem. You're letting them know they're not alone. "I get it." That alone shifts the energy in the room. 2. Deep listening. Listening is underrated but massively influential. Most people listen to reply. Influencers listen to understand. That means no interrupting, no judging, no "yeah but" replies. Instead, be fully present. A silent, attentive listener is magnetic. People trust you more when they feel heard. 3. Mirroring. Mirroring is a subtle, powerful way to build connection. It means reflecting back someone's tone, words, and body language in a natural way. If they speak slowly, you slow down. If they lean in, you lean slightly too. If they use specific words like frustrated or excited, you use those same words. Mirroring makes the other person feel in sync with you. And when people feel in sync, they open up, they agree more, and they follow more easily. It's not manipulation. It's rapport building. Building trust and emotional bonds. Trust isn't built by facts. It's built by feelings. And empathy is the bridge between strangers and trust. So how do you build that bridge consistently? 1. Be vulnerable first. Many people wait for others to open up first. But real influencers go first. They share something personal, real, even slightly imperfect. Example: "I struggled with that too. Honestly, took me a while to figure it out." Now the other person feels safe to drop their guard. Vulnerability breeds trust. It's not about oversharing. It's about being human. 2. Be curious, not judgmental. Empathy thrives in curiosity. Instead of labeling someone as difficult, ask what's behind their behavior. What pressure are they under? What are they not saying? That shift in mindset changes how you interact, and often, people soften simply because someone finally cared enough to look deeper, becoming someone others want to follow. Influence isn't just about persuasion, It's about becoming someone people naturally gravitate toward. Someone who makes others feel seen, lifts others up, leads with heart, not ego. You don't need to be the smartest in the room. Be the one who connects the most. Be the one who remembers names, sends kind messages, asks how others are really doing, offers help before it's asked for. These aren't small gestures. They're power moves. Because in a world of performers, kindness stands out. Authenticity wins. And empathy, it's your superpower. Practical ways to use empathy to influence. Let's turn empathy into strategy. Here's how to apply what you've learned starting today. 1. Use emotionally intelligent language. Instead of saying, "That's wrong," say, "I see it differently. Here's why." Instead of "calm down," say, "I can see this really matters to you." Simple shifts, massive impact. 2. Ask open-ended questions. Try, what's really on your mind today? What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? How can I support you better? These invite honesty and build depth. 3. Say their name. People love hearing their own name. It grounds them, it personalizes the moment. "You know, Sarah, the way you handled that was really impressive." Small detail, big trust builder. 4. Send unsolicited encouragement. Text someone, voice message a friend, email a colleague, not asking for anything, just showing care. Those gestures echo in people's minds, and when you speak later, they'll listen. Final thoughts. Influence with heart. Let's recap what we've learned. Empathy is emotional intelligence in action. It's the secret to connection, trust, and influence. Listen deeply, validate, mirror. Be vulnerable, lead with curiosity, not judgment. Be kind, not to manipulate, but to connect. Because ultimately, people may forget your pitch, people may ignore your logic, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Make them feel seen, heard, valued, and they'll follow you. Not because they have to, but because they want to. That is true influence. That is mastery of the game. Chapter 9. Strategic Thinking and Influence Games. Play the long game, win every time. Picture this. You're in a conversation, not just talking, but calculating. You're not reacting, you're anticipating. You're not pushing, you're guiding. This isn't manipulation. This is strategy. Because real influence isn't random. It's not luck. It's a game of skill, and the best players think several steps ahead. Welcome to the influence games, where perception is power and foresight is your secret weapon. Influence is chess, not checkers. Let's start with a simple truth. Most people play checkers. Influencers play chess. What's the difference? Checkers is fast, reactive, move to move. Chess is slow, deliberate. Every move sets up the next. That's how you must approach influence. You don't just focus on the outcome you want today. You think 5 moves ahead. How will this person feel tomorrow? How will this decision affect my reputation next month? How can I create conditions where people influence themselves? This is strategic influence. It's subtle, it's smart, and when done right, it's nearly invisible. How to think. Several steps ahead. Let's break it down. Strategic thinkers don't rush. They map. Here's your playbook. Begin with the end in mind. Before you speak, ask, what's the ultimate outcome I want? Is it approval, action, agreement, or trust? Knowing your end game clarifies your moves. Never start an influence attempt without defining your target. Assess the terrain. Every influence game happens within a landscape. Ask yourself, who's involved? What are their needs, fears, and incentives? What power dynamics are at play? This isn't about guessing. It's about reading the room like a grandmaster reads the board. Identify the leverage points. You don't need to control everything. You just need to identify what moves the needle. That might be a key decision-maker's opinion, a piece of missing information, an emotional hook that changes your minds. Find the one domino. Tap it. Watch the others fall. Think in scenarios. Ask yourself, if I say this, what might they think or do next? If I pause here, what tension will that create? If I give them a small win now, what will that buy me later? Strategic influencers play if-then games in their minds constantly. They plan 3 steps beyond the obvious. Reading power dynamics in any situation. Let's go deeper. Influence isn't just about people, it's about power. Every room has unspoken hierarchies. Who speaks the most? Who do others look to for cues? Who has nothing to say but everything to approve? You must learn to spot these patterns fast. Let me give you a secret. The person with the most power isn't always the one talking. Sometimes, it's the quiet one everyone's trying to please. Sometimes, it's the emotional center, the person who others emotionally depend on. Observe these indicators. Who interrupts without being challenged? Who others try to impress or agree with? Who can say little yet shift the group's mood? Once you identify the power player, your strategy becomes clear. You don't need to influence everyone. You need to influence the right one. Applying game theory to real life. Now we get into the fun part. Game theory. Game theory is the study of how people make decisions in competitive or cooperative environments. It's not just for economists or mathematicians, it's for influencers. Here's how to apply it. Understand the player. Types in any interaction, people fall into types. Competitive players want to win, even at your expense. Collaborative players want mutual wins. Neutral players just want stability and ease. Tailor your strategy accordingly. With competitive types, show how your idea gives them an edge. With collaborative types, emphasize shared success. With neutral types, focus on peace of mind, not excitement. Find the Nash equilibrium. This is a game theory concept where everyone settles into a position where no one benefits from changing their move. In influence terms, it's where your offer feels like the obvious choice for them, given their incentives. You align your ask with what they already want or need. And boom, resistance drops. Use iterated games. One-time games are different from repeat ones. If you're dealing with someone you'll interact with again, your influence strategy must consider future rounds. Be fair, be consistent, and build trust. That way, your influence increases over time because people learn they can rely on you. Influencing without being detected. This is where influence becomes an art form. Sometimes the most powerful move is the one no one sees. Here's how to influence without being obvious. Ask, don't tell. People resist commands, but they embrace ideas they believe are their own. So ask, what do you think would work best here? How would you feel if we tried this? What do you think is the biggest priority? Lead them to the idea and let them take ownership of it. That's stealth influence at its finest. Let silence do the work. Silence creates space, and in that space, people often reveal what matters most. Use silences strategically, after making a suggestion, when someone's processing, to create tension and weight. Silence isn't awkward, it's power. Use third-party stories. Instead of saying, you should do this, try, I had a client once who faced something similar. What worked for them was, people drop their defenses when advice feels like a shared story, not a direct push. Strategic influence in action, real-life examples. Let's look at how this plays out in real life. Business. A savvy negotiator doesn't just pitch hard. They map out what the other party wants, what fears might be holding them back, who inside the company influences the final decision. Then they shape their pitch like a mirror to those elements, appealing to both logic and emotion. That's not luck. That's chess. Politics. Ever wonder why certain politicians repeat the same story 10 different ways? It's not because they ran out of material. It's because they're framing the same narrative for different minds. Each version is calibrated, and each word is strategic. They're not reacting, they're orchestrating. Social situations. A socially intelligent person walks into a room and scans it like a radar. They pick up on who's talking too much, insecurity, who's being ignored, opportunity, who holds sway, key connection. And then they speak intentionally, not impulsively. And suddenly they become the center without fighting for it. That's strategic influence. Final tools for strategic influencers. Let's arm you with a few more tools before we wrap. The power pause. Before reacting, pause and ask, what's my best next move? Not just the easiest. The what's in it for them test. If your ask doesn't clearly benefit them, reframe it. The delay to play principle. Sometimes holding back a move builds anticipation and increases impact. The multi-move setup. Don't play for now. Play to create a setup for a bigger ask later. Think like a strategist. Move like an artist. Influence like a master. Final thoughts. Influence is an ongoing game. Remember this. Influence is not a single move. It's a series. It's not a pitch, but a performance. Not domination, but direction. The best influencers don't push, they position. They don't demand, they design. And they always stay 3 steps ahead. Because in this game, you're not just playing pieces, you're playing people. Master that, and the game becomes yours. Chapter 10. Dark Influence and Ethical Power. Use your power, don't abuse it. Let's pause. Take a breath. You've come a long way. You've learned how influence works, from the power of presence to the psychology of persuasion, from strategic thinking to emotional connection. You've gained the tools, the frameworks, and the mindset. You're ready to master the game. But before you step onto the board, there's one more truth we need to face. Every power has a shadow, and influence, when misused, can become something darker. Not leadership, not persuasion, but manipulation. This chapter is your shield and your compass. We're going to explore the dark side of influence, how to recognize it, defend against it, and never become it. Because real mastery isn't just about being powerful, it's about being powerful and good. Recognizing manipulation tactics. Manipulation wears many faces. Sometimes it's obvious, like a threat or a lie. Other times it hides behind charm, compliments, or even love. Here are some common manipulation tactics you must be able to spot. Gaslighting. This is when someone makes you question your reality. They twist facts, deny your feelings, or rewrite history to make you doubt yourself. Gaslighters don't want clarity. They want control. Guilt tripping. Instead of asking, manipulators shame you into action. After all I've done for you, if you really cared, you'd... It's emotional blackmail disguised as love. Love bombing. Flooding someone with praise, gifts, or attention to create dependence, then withdrawing it to punish or control. It feels like affection at first, but it's conditional and calculated. Triangulation, involving a third party to manipulate dynamics. Even Sarah agrees with me. Everyone else thinks you're overreacting. It isolates you and builds false alliances. The scarcity trap, creating false urgency or FOMO, fear of missing out, to pressure decisions. Used often in sales and cult-like communities, this triggers irrational action under the illusion of risk, the shadow side of persuasion. Let's get brutally honest. Every persuasive tool you've learned in this guide can be weaponized. Framing can be used to deceive. Storytelling can bypass logic and implant false beliefs. Reciprocity can trap someone into obligation. Even empathy can be faked for gain. The most dangerous influencers aren't loud. They're charming. Not forceful, but calculated. Not abusive, but subtly exploitative. This is why understanding influence isn't enough. You must also develop discernment. So ask yourself, am I helping this person make an informed decision, or am I leading them somewhere they wouldn't go if they had all the facts? That's the ethical line, and only you can guard it. Protecting yourself from psychological control. Now let's shift. What happens when you are the target of manipulation? How do you defend yourself? Here are powerful internal tools. Build self-awareness. Know your own emotional triggers. Do you crave approval? Are you conflict avoidant? Do you fear missing out? Manipulators exploit blind spots. Awareness makes you immune. Pause before committing. Urgency is a manipulator's weapon. Buy time. Think clearly. Ask, do I feel pressure or peace? Am I being informed or persuaded too quickly? If it's pressure, step back. Set boundaries. Early, you don't need a reason to say no. A respectful influencer will accept your limits. A manipulator will test, guilt, or ignore them. Boundaries reveal who you're really dealing with. Trust patterns, not apologies. Words can lie. Patterns don't. If someone repeatedly uses charm to cover over control, believe the pattern, not the excuses. The ethics of using influence. Now we come to the heart of it. You've gained powerful tools in this guide. You can shape perception, move emotions, and design decisions. So here's the question. How will you use your power? Let's define ethical influence. It means respecting free will, offering truth, not illusion, creating win-win outcomes, leading by inspiration, not manipulation. Here are 3 internal rules to live by. 1. Intent. Before impact. Before you speak, ask, why am I saying this? What do I hope happens next? If your intent is control or ego, it's not ethical influence. If your intent is clarity, confidence, or mutual benefit, move forward. 2. Mutual respect. Always. Influence isn't about tricking someone. It's about helping them choose better. When you respect someone's intelligence and agency, you gain real trust and lasting power. 3. Transparency. Builds legacy. Don't hide your influence, own it. Say things like, here's my perspective, and here's why I believe in it. Let me explain how I came to this conclusion. You're free to disagree, this is just what I've seen work. Transparency doesn't weaken your message, it amplifies.